What up guys, Otterpop here. I am doing another crime scene analysis slash crime scene solve. Still not exactly sure completely what to call it, so I'm just going to make shit up as I go along. At least in that sense. So, I am prepared to do another crime scene video because I figured, hey, I haven't done one of these in a while. And it was actually pretty fun to do the first one. A little bit different from what I expected, so I plan to change a few things about, how I analyze it first. And this one is actually kind of interesting. First off, I made sure to do this in my head a couple times before I actually say it. The Yoknapatapha shower. Wow, I really just said that. The Yoknapatapha. Oh my god. The Yoknapatapha County Sheriff's Department, which was the sheriff's department from the first case with Rolf Warner. But this guy is Victor Jennings, and that picture does not look like a pretty picture. Man found dead in bloody mess in his own kitchen. Oh dear God. Oh, and Jennings was on house arrest awaiting trial on extortion charges. It was unclear at the scene whether his death was an accident or a murder. I'm willing to bet it's more likely a murder. Again, we don't like to jump to conclusions, but based on this amount of blood, I'd say it's more likely some kind of murder, but it also could potentially be an accident. But seeing how in the case comments I see arrest in Jennings homicide, I take it it's a homicide. So, whoop-de-doo. I could tell immediately this was actually going to be a lot trickier than the last one because there were 7 days of investigation. So I'm probably going to divvy this up into like 7 different episodes, but hopefully I'll be going through them a little bit faster than I was with the first one now that I have a general idea of, what I'm doing or looking at. Hopefully I might be doing a couple more days as well. I might do like, depending on how long it takes, like 2 or 3 days today. And wow, this is taking forever. Okay, here we go. So the incident report. So Oxford, Mississippi. It was reported at 6:55 p.m. Oh, Sam Murphy and... Okay, I remember the name Sam Murphy from the last crime solver with Rolf Warner, but the Aaron Parker, this guy's new. So, persons... Oh, foul play suspected, yes. Yeah. Okay. Apparent stab wound to the torso. Yeesh. Okay then. Lee Merriweather was a witness. I vaguely read ahead, and I think personal assistant, so, okay, she's the one who's like the assistant to the victim, so she's the one I think who reported it. Reporting officer Sam Murphy and Aaron Parker is a new name I have not heard yet. So, let's read through this. Even though it was only 6:55, this guy was in pajamas when he was killed. And it was also interesting because the report mentioned that rigor mortis hadn't yet set in, which, as it was concluded later on in the summary, happened probably an hour or two prior to, the person finding the body and whatnot. So, this guy died very recently, and did I mention? He was in his pajamas as well. I don't know if I mentioned that. I might have. No, something like that. Firstborn son. Okay. Oh, spoiled rotten. Oh, jeez. He's gonna be a marvelous guy when he grows up. Well, technically not anymore because he's dead. Sorry. Okay, so this guy was on house arrest by the time he was found for like a whole bunch, a whole bunch or a single charge or something like that. Don't you dare. Hey, get down. Don't make me stand up. Don't make me stand up. I'm standing up. Works every time. So this guy apparently everything was given to him, and when his father was diagnosed with terminal cancer, most everything was going to be awarded to this guy, Victor Jennings. And the family was not too terribly happy about that. So, yeah, this guy sounds like a real scumbag. Okay, so he was charged with trying to extort money from Mr. and Mrs. Hollywood. Trying to cheat some Hollywood. Oh. Okay, never mind. Okay, so he's had a lot of interesting history with a lot of famous people, it sounds like. So, oof, oh boy. This is interesting. So apparently this guy like made a lot of shady deals with people, and apparently he had somebody doing his dirty work, dealing with people that he like wanted out of the way or something like that. I don't think that meant like killing them or anything, but maybe like blackmail or extortion or something like that. Apparently the guy's name was Carl, but yeah, not too much information. So this is the assistant. So let's see if her bio is on here. This assistant wanted to go to Hollywood, but clearly couldn't, and yeah, ended up becoming like his this Victor Jennings assistant. So, oof, oh boy, kind of feel bad for her, but I mean, hey, can't do a whole lot. So, I mean, since there was only a couple things that happened in Investigation Day 1, I'll probably start on Investigation Day 2, but just for Investigation Day 1, so I see no autopsy report so far. It's just kind of a whole bunch of, you know, obviously the basic report, and then the, you know, the bios of both individuals. So yeah, this guy does a lot of shady business. From what I read, he's like a book agent of some kind. There's definitely not a whole lot, but so first thing the next morning, Victor's brother, who I think his name is Raymond, yeah. Okay, so this is his bio. He was a mama's boy. Gentle, kind-hearted soul, exact opposite to his brother. So this guy is like the pinnacle of, like, you know, I wouldn't really know what I would call it, but he's a much more responsible and respectful individual, it sounds like. I mean, he has 2 kids of his own, and he graduated with a major in business management, and clearly him and his brother did not necessarily have the greatest past, but they still the brother Raymond basically cut ties with his brother Victor when they were, like, you know, in their late teens, and you know, with the kids, he didn't really want his kids near his brother, which, you know, makes sense, honestly. Alright, so here's the interview. This guy had a slightly interesting story to tell. So, I mean, as I kind of suspected based on his bio, he's definitely sort of the more passive individual between the 2 brothers, which, yeah, doesn't surprise me at all. The younger brother, Raymond, tended to, I'm just going to say Raymond avoided Victor, basically. Probably for good reason. But it sounds like their father really doted on Victor, and apparently, and there's this, I saw this in Raymond's bio as well, but this guy Carl, yeah, he basically confirms, I guess, in a way, that Carl really does do all the dirty work that, you know, Victor wants to be taken care of. And apparently, besides Carl and their father, pretty much anybody else hates Victor and might have a reason for killing him. But apparently Raymond called Victor because their father wanted them to come out to him or something like that. And jeez, I mean, he told me to send my sexy little wife over with a piece of my birthday cake for him to devour. Oh, jeez. That's just scumbag if I ever heard of that. So apparently he called a few hours later on the same day that he died, saying that he was going to kill himself, but apparently he pulled stunts like that before. Raymond seems to think Victor would have committed suicide. So mean, it could be possible. Victor's right-hand man. Yep, Carl. Oh, look at that face. Oh, he was an orphan. Oh, he was going through heroin withdrawal. Ugh. So this guy, Carl, who seems to be really close with Victor, he wanted to be a film director, but he couldn't get a whole lot of luck with work. Or Carl, anyways, and then Victor was like, hey, here's a job. You want a job? Apparently it was Carl's job to verify and enhance the information Victor's clients had included in their books. So he's a researcher of sorts. It's a little bit, it's kind of hard to describe exactly what his job is, but it certainly does, yeah, it does sound a bit like it could be leading towards blackmail and extortion. And apparently Victor promised Carl that, you know, Victor would help Carl with, you know, the directing career, I guess you could say. But nothing seemed to happen, and Carl seemed to be questioning it over time. Okay, but here's the interview they had with him. So this guy's gotten pretty defensive. He didn't answer a whole lot of questions. He just mentioned some names about people who didn't really like Victor, and that, you know, the detectives did kind of press some questions like, do you wish Victor was dead? Or was it part of your job to protect Victor? Like, you know, implying and insinuating things, which, like, with these questions, that's to be expected. Like, that's, like, yeah, he can get all defensive as he wants, but, hey. Oh wait, I already looked at this. I mean, hey, not a whole lot that you can do. Okay, so this is Victor's next door neighbor. So apparently this guy was, the neighbor, William Bolton, was apparently quite rich and enough to become wealthy from, you know, a venture to making a shopping mall and stuff like that. This guy was pretty rich, and then they moved to Oxford, Mississippi. He and his wife and their son moved to Oxford, Mississippi, and had an open house to, you know, meet all the neighbors and stuff. He immediately didn't like Victor very much, and his wife wasn't a huge fan of him either. Apparently the neighbor William thought he looked like a thug and didn't particularly trust him. It looks like June 8, 2018, so if these stories are adhering to, like, current time, fictional stories are adhering to current time, this would have happened less than a year ago. Victor put up a fence into the property, according to William's estimates, and then later confirmed, was that Victor put the fence 8 feet into William's lawn, but the case was still pending by the time that Victor died. To find out more about the relationship. Okay, so his interview wasn't very long either, but I mean, unsurprisingly, William did not really like Victor, but William didn't seem to dislike the assistant, Lee Merriweather. I'm just gonna call her Lee. He didn't really seem to get too defensive, and in terms of his alibi, he says he left his office at 5 p.m. and went straight home, but it doesn't necessarily say how long it takes for him to get home. But his wife made dinner, and he was extremely cooperative and not very defensive at all. And but also, unfortunately, didn't have a lot of information, which, hey. By mid-afternoon, the Oxford Weekly Planet had shared the news of Victor's death with the community. Okay. So here we have a sort of pseudo news report. The Jennings family did not respond to requests for comment. I can understand that from his mother and brother. His father a little bit to a lesser extent. But yeah, it's just a typical report, nothing too interesting. Okay, here's crime scene evidence. An ivory color. Oh, so there's a plastic knife with metal end. Plastic knife handle with metal ends with the blade broken off. A lot of blood samples taken. Ooh, dang. That's quite a bit of blood. Oh, that's just one of the samples. And this must be some kind of hair that they found. I imagine that's a pair of tweezers right next to it. So you have blood samples. Oh, they have multiple strands of hair. Brunette. Does anybody else have brunette hair? I don't remember. I don't remember if the victim does either. He might. Yeah, not a lot of evidence taken. Okay, so basically, here's what I seem to understand so far, is that this guy was basically a book agent and was even as he was something of a scumbag, he was still responsible for a lot of business in the industry, in a manner of speaking. But he also did a lot of like shady stuff, had some shady deals, and then would sometimes use blackmail / extortion or something similar to that to, get rid of lawsuits should they come his way. A lot of that was usually taken care of by this guy Carl Asher, who was a researcher, who basically kind of did a lot of that researching and whatnot. And Victor also had an assistant, Lee Merriweather, who she seems like a nice woman, and complained to Victor's neighbor William a lot. And William did have a bit of a legal dispute that was pending by the time that Victor died. Carl seemed a little bit defensive. William was extraordinarily non-defensive and very cooperative with the police. And despite the legal dispute, I'm not sure if he had a lot to do. I don't think he had anything to do with this homicide / suicide. I'm pretty sure it's a homicide though. I don't really think that Lee Merriweather had much to do with it. She seemed to have a pretty tight alibi, and I don't know, she just doesn't seem to quite have the personality for it. She did complain to William every now and then. Doesn't seem like there was anything weird going on. And then of course the family relationships, which we've only explored the relationship between Victor and his brother Raymond. There doesn't seem to be getting any, I don't have a reason at the moment to suspect Raymond. He seemed to want nothing to do with his brother, which is completely understandable from a family standpoint. But anyways, that's all I'm going to be looking at today. I'll probably look at maybe 2 more days in another video, which I might do right away. But this is definitely interesting. I am curious about what the heck is going on for the rest of these days. I really haven't looked. So, okay. Anyways, I'm gonna look at probably days 3 and 4 in another episode, so this ought to be interesting. So, thank you everybody for watching, and as usual, until the next video guys, check you laters.